if you do have really oily skin, you know what a problem it is when you do a flawless makeup and in 1 hour or two your makeup is just separating and you see the oil poke through. It is just a nightmare. Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. For those who are new here, I'm Ches, and in today's video I'm going to be showing you all my tips and tricks on how to keep my really oily skin shine free and oil free throughout the day. I'm going to be showing you all the products that I use and all the skin prep that I do to ensure that this doesn't happen, so stay tuned. So my skin is completely foundation free. It has no concealer, no powder, no nothing. This is just the state of my skin right now. It's honestly not the best. I have had better days for sure. I did a bit of skin prep the night before, and let me tell you, skin prep is so important for having flawless makeup base, especially if you have acne prone or oily skin or both. It's so hard to put foundation on skin that just is extremely oily or has so much buildup, and you need to make sure that you put the foundation on a clean slate. Like, your skin has to be completely clean but also not completely dehydrated. A skin that is dehydrated is going to try to compensate with producing a lot of extra oil, and that's what's happening with my skin. The way I remove my makeup is I use the Beauty of Joseon Ginseng cleansing oil. I just pump a couple of oil pumps on my hand, I rub it together, and then I start to slowly massage it into my skin. And when I do this, I start to notice that there's a lot of little, I'm not even sure if it's like dirt or like, you know, little blackheads, and I feel the texture on my hand. So this is amazing and actually breaking down everything that you have on your face, be it makeup, sunscreen, buildup of, you know, pollution, or even, you know, these blackheads and anything that is just kind of sitting on top of your face. And then I go in with my makeup remover, which is just, you know, a micellar water and cotton wipe, and I just make sure that I remove all the oil excess. I then go ahead with my Salicylic Acid Daily Gentle Cleanser from COSRX, and I make sure I wash my face, and I don't tend to use it every night. I find it that it's a bit much. It has salicylic acid, so I don't want to completely irritate my skin if I use acne products every single night. I make sure I try to avoid my lip area and my eye area. I, you know, work it in really well and then wash my face. So immediately, like less than 10 seconds after, I would go in with a hyaluronic acid solution. Revolution does some, I think The Ordinary have some, or any sort of, you know, agent that will hydrate your skin. It's great to just go in immediately after, because dehydrated skin will get incredibly tight right after having it washed. And then right afterwards, I will go in with my moisturizer. During nighttime, I would like to go with maybe a thicker moisturizer. So this Red Bean Water Gel from Beauty of Joseon. It is amazing for oily skin. It honestly feels like water. It's great. So this is the prep that I do. And this morning, all I did was use this Cetaphil Hydrating Foam Cream Cleanser for my morning face wash. And then I went straight in with my Red Bean Water Gel, and my face is ready for makeup. Now I want to show you the foundations that I use, and the 3 foundations that I found to be really good for oily skin. And I have been a devoted fan to 2 of those. The last one that I'm going to show you, it's actually one that I've only used once and I've heard so many good things about. It's actually viral and people love it for really oily skin. But I want to show you the first ones, starting with the first one ever that I have fallen in love with ever since I was in my last year of high school. I've been using this Estee Lauder Double Wear Stay in Place foundation. My shade, it is 3W1.5 FAWN, but it does, you know, I do tend to use darker shades when it's summer, but this foundation, it is the holy grail of oily skin. It is high coverage. It just sticks to your skin. It does not move. You do have to work really fast with it because it literally dries in a couple of seconds. But for oily skin, it is amazing. It's going to take a long time for the oils of your skin to poke through the foundation. And when you do, you can just blot it. And I'm going to show you afterwards how to do that. But this foundation is incredible if you have a really oily skin. The reason why I tried another foundation and I moved away from this is because I didn't actually want such high coverage foundation anymore. I thought, you know what, let me just give it a go with maybe like more medium coverage foundations. So the next one that I absolutely fell in love with is the DIOR Backstage foundation, and the shade that I normally go for is, because I am quite pale right now, it would be maybe like a 2WO, but in the summer I would probably use a 3WO, and then when I go on holiday I would use a 4-1. So I'm definitely a warm olive. I do have some like green yellow tint in my skin, but this foundation is really, really nice, and it definitely has that kind of, you know, more watery feel to it while still being relatively medium coverage, and it's buildable. The one that I have bought a couple of days ago, that I've worn it once and I'm actually incredibly surprised by it. It actually kept my face matte for the whole day. And by matte, I don't actually mean I looked completely, you know, like one-dimensional. I mean that my natural oils were not poking out as much, and it really stayed in place. So this is the Maybelline Fit Me Matte and Poreless, and it says normal to oily foundation, and my shade is 128. This foundation has really passed my test. It looked incredible on my skin the day I wore it. I really didn't have to do a crazy prep to use it. I applied it normally. It actually worked better for my oiliness than the DIOR Backstage. So today I'm actually going to be doing my makeup with this one. It is a very budget-friendly foundation and it's just incredible. I'm going to put some on the back of my hand. This is going to ensure that the foundation gets warmed up by the temperature of my skin, and that way it's going to make it a lot easier to apply on your face. I'm going to be going in with my fingers, and then the second I put it on, I start to slowly tap and blend. You see, I just put one time and just blended it in, and then every time I tap it in, I blend it in immediately. And I don't really tend to swipe it a lot, I just tend to dab it, because I don't want it to become too sheer. So I do want to use its whole potential in terms of coverage. So I just dab it, and then if the area is a bit larger, dab it in with 2 fingers, maybe swipe it a bit, and that's what I do. Take a bit more, and the key to doing a really natural makeup with these foundations that are quite medium to high coverage is to really not go overboard, but definitely use enough to cover every single area of your face. When I used to be younger in high school, I would not put foundation all over, and honestly I thought I was doing something, but it just ended up looking patchy. I really thought I was, you know, the natural girl because I would only put it in certain areas, but honestly, if you really want a flawless makeup look, you have to put your foundation everywhere. You really can't miss any spots thinking that you really don't need it. I'm just making sure I'm blending it really well. I'm going to avoid the eye area because this is where I'm going to be putting my concealer, and you don't want to have foundation under the eyes and then go in with concealer. It's just going to be too much. My under eyes and my eyelids also get oily throughout the day, so if I put a lot of product in, it's going to be moving into the creases a lot. This foundation is definitely not the foundation to go with if you have dry skin, or if you want any sort of like shininess to your makeup. I would love to be the dewy glow girl, but I can't because my face will become glowy by itself naturally in the next hour or two just because I have so much oils. Now I'm gonna be going in with my concealer, and the concealer that I use is the Estee Lauder Double Wear Stay in Place Flawless Wear Concealer, and the shade I use is 3N Medium Neutral. The key to doing it is to really make sure that you go in with a very little amount and that you do not actually go in the first millimeters of your eye. Just start a bit lower, and the second I put a dab, I blend it. That is what I do with my foundation. That is what I feel works best. Maybe, let's say 3 dabs, look up, blend it. So that way, wherever I've put that dab is where the concealer is the most concentrated. And then I can just maybe slowly work it up. I probably look so funny. and you want to be really fast with blending this concealer because it can dry very quickly. I'm just going to be putting in areas that I feel like I do need a tiny bit of coverage or color correcting. And I'm gonna be going in with a very small flat brush to actually spot conceal some of these blemishes. And I am going to be using a bit of my color correcting green from the Revolution Correct palette, and I'm gonna be taking a tiny bit of this green, just blending it in with a tiny bit of this concealer, checking first any red spots where I can dab honestly the tiniest amount. To set my under eyes, I'm going to be using the Laura Mercier translucent powder. Does it even have a color? A bit yellowy. So I'm gonna be going in with this little sponge right in. This is how it's gonna look, and I'm gonna be just tapping in the excess right on my hand. And it does look like I'm basically putting all the product on my hands, but I'm just actually working the powder into this beauty blender. It's not a beauty blender, it's a powder puff. I'm gonna look up and just 1, 2, 3 tap. 1, 2, 3 tap. And then because I have oily skin, I just want to quickly go in very, very lightly on the rest of my face, extremely lightly. I mean, this foundation is already as matte as it gets. I do carry this around with me to make sure I reapply it throughout the day. I'm going to be showing you later how I do this. But now we need some definition in our face, because honestly, we've put this foundation and our skin, why am I speaking in plural? My skin looks one-dimensional, there's no definition. We're gonna be doing some contour, and I'm gonna be starting with my nose contour. I love doing nose contour, it's so amazing. I pick a fluffier medium brush, my Neutral Territory Morphe palette. So I'm gonna be going in with this cool shade. I don't actually tend to contour and bronze my face. I find that it's just too many steps and I don't want to put too much on my skin. But what I do is I pick a bronzer that is very cool toned, and the one that I have found that is the most cool toned, it's the Bahama Mama from the Balm Cosmetics. This is the one. I just go a tiny bit, like, do you see how light it is? Very lightly. I do not use cream contour because I find that it moves quite a lot, and I know that it might look more glowy, more dewy, more natural, but that is not the look that I'm going for if I'm oily. I am going for a more powdery, mattifying look if I am going to just, you know, have my natural oils come out slowly throughout the day. So this is how I bring some warmth to my face. It is very natural, very subtle. We're gonna be going in with some blush. I use the DIOR Backstage Rosy Glow. This is more of a coral orangey blush. The one that I bought that was a lot pinkier was this one from IT Cosmetics. It's called Bye Bye Pores Blush, which is great because that's what we're trying to do for really oily skin that has big pores like me. We're trying to minimize the pores. So these are the two blushes I use. We're just going to be combining these two. Also, I do not use blushes that have sparkle because of my oily skin. So I do have a blush with sparkle in the Anastasia Beverly Hills palette, which is this one, and it's a beautiful shade, but I just find it to be just a bit too shiny. A bit of this, a bit of that, and just, you know, dab it and lightly put it in. Like, this is the color that I want. Also, the thing that I love a lot about the DIOR blushes is that it has some sort of luminosity to it that is not glittery, and that is why my next blush I also want it to be from DIOR, because this is a tiny bit too matte for me, but I still love this one. Like, does it look cute or does it look cute? For my oily girls, don't think I forgot to recommend a lip liner that is super, super long lasting, because honestly, Oil is just everywhere on your face. It's not just on your skin. If you're an oily girl, you're going to have an oily, you know, cupid's bow, and it's just going to be a lot harder to keep the lip liner to stay on your face. So this is the Everlasting Lip Liner from Kat Von D in the shade Lolita 10. And this lip liner will not disappoint you if you have very oily skin. The tiniest bit of setting powder. Let's bring some color to those lips. This is the Clinique Pink Honey. Just putting a tiny bit on. And I want to give a shout to a product that I have not used, but I do want to keep in mind that you will want to also think about eyebrows for really oily skin. I want to recommend the Kiko Eyebrow Marker No Transfer Natural Tattoo. This is really, really good for people with oilier skin, or if you need to go somewhere like you can go to the beach or to swim, or you want to sleep with makeup on. This is essentially tinting the skin. So, you know, it's not going to kind of like sit on top of it. It's really going to give a color that is going to stay on your skin. And the only downside that I have to this one is that it can, in some lightings, have a different color. Like it could look a tiny bit reddish or greenish sometimes. The color could sometimes look a tiny bit off, but honestly, I love it. Like I will put it on right now. It looks incredible. You can get the thinnest strokes with it. And for my oily girlies and guys, you need a makeup product that's gonna keep your eyebrows in place. And if you are a fan of eyeshadow and you have extremely oily skin and you find that your oily eyelids are just making your eyeshadow move throughout the day, then I have a great recommendation. And this is the Urban Decay Eyeshadow Primer Potion. This is amazing. All you need to do is to just take this, put it all over your eyelids. I'm not gonna put it now because I just have eyelash extensions and I tend not to put any eyeshadow or any products on my eyelids, but you put it on, you dab it in, and you let it sit for a second. And then when you put your eyeshadow on, it does not move throughout the day. It has been incredible for my oily eyelids, and it's just really helped me overall to maintain my eyeshadow whenever I need it to last for a long time. And now we've reached the point where I want to show you what to do throughout the day when your skin has been producing its natural oils. It's been a couple of hours and you can just see the oil poking through. Honestly, even with the most amazing of foundations, you're still probably going to see a bit of oil poke through, especially if you are a natural oily girl like me. So what I do is I go to a public toilet and I look for toilet paper, or I have some, you know, toilet paper or any sort of tissue with me. So what you want to do is you want to rip the toilet paper in two so that you have very thin sides, and you want to take it and just gently pat the areas where you have become oily. I become oily everywhere, so I need to do my nose, and then I move on to this cheek, then I move on to this cheek, I do my forehead, I do my chin, honestly everywhere. And by the time I finish, this toilet paper, because it's so thin, is just going to, you're gonna see all the oil on it. And the reason why I do this is because when you just put powder immediately directly on the oil, it's just going to create this really like greasy mess on your face, and that powder might look like it's mattifying the skin immediately, but then you still have the oil underneath the powder, so it's going to create this really oily mixture, and it's not going to be looking good in 20-30 minutes to an hour. And just honestly have a look at the tissue and drop me a comment and let me know what you've noticed if you've never done this before. I know people sell blotting papers and blotting tissues. I think Rihanna, Fenty Beauty sells those, but I've just never really bought them. Afterwards, you just want to go in with your translucent powder. If you don't want to carry around a loose powder, then you can have a translucent powder that is solid, and you just, you know, take some of it, you work it into your palm, because if you put it in on your face immediately, you're just gonna have like a streak of powder, and then you wanna dab it on the areas where you feel like you are getting oily throughout the day. So this was it, you guys. These were all the products that I've used and all the tips and tricks that I do to ensure that my really oily, dehydrated skin gets some sort of hydration and looks flawless throughout the day without letting my natural oils poke through too much. And yeah, if you have any questions, please drop me a comment. Please like this video and subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Bye!